Hello devs, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It is ReZoura, bringing you another Devil May Cry 5 video, and if you are new to the channel, welcome to the ReZoura family. Today's video is going to be on the new interview that I had recently dropped about Dante, so if you've already heard it, then I would recommend you to click off the video, because I wouldn't want you to already hear information that you've seen from someone else or you've read up on, individually. So let's go ahead and get started. There's Devil May Cry returning home to Capcom after Ninja Theory somewhat devised Devil May Cry DMC, which for the record was brilliant. His words, not mine. Heroes Dante and Nero appear in more familiar form, while another human returns in the form of Hideaki Itsuno. A late addition to the troubled Devil May Cry 2 project, he went on to direct the third and fourth installment. While his career at Capcom is as illustrious as it gets, he can proudly take responsibility for the likes of the Power Stone, rival schools in... what the hell are you talking about? Okay. At Tokyo Game Show, Capcom revealed a new character, V, while also unveiling Dante in playable form. Familiar yet fresh, he boasts his broadcast moveset yet. We felt that taking stuff away tends to upset people, of course. Like, for us, it would be... hint hint, his Devil Trigger, modern form, or like Flight, which I recently talked about, because I'm glad they added that in. But alright, let's continue. Says it's a no. And is placed in an indicrously good looking game. Some of the photoreal elements made possible by the RE engine mixing well into Devil May Cry's typical bold style, bearing the unexpected, and provided the grim inclusion of microtransactions doesn't overly impede the experience. So I'm going to talk about this as well. I know everyone has seen the Angry Joe show, whatever his name is, and he made a commentary video about how microtransactions was going to ruin the game. Unfortunately, that's not the case, considering we've had this in Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition and it did perfectly fine, did not mess with the game whatsoever. Or you just have access to orbs, of course, and if there are choices to buy weapons, then it's still not going to affect it. Someone took to Twitter what Angry Joe show had said, and so what Matt had responded with, it's not going to microtransactions are not going to ruin the game whatsoever. I just wanted to point that out, that's actually what's going to happen. It's not going to ruin anything, so don't listen to anyone else's opinion on that, but it's not going to do anything. So Matt from himself, you heard it from him, it's not going to do anything bad. Continuing on, Devil May Cry 5 should continue Capcom's winning streak when it comes out next March. Having played the demo, we sat down with Itsuno in a hotel room just opposite the Makuri Messe, the host the Tokyo Game Show, where he was joined by producer Matt Walker, who provided translation, and senior producer Michiru Okabe. I love his last name. A good starting point would be what's just been revealed at TGS. V's a new character. What can you tell me about him? Hideaki Itsuno responds, V? He's a third playable character. We saw him in the trailer. From a story perspective, he's your new client. He's the kind of impetus in the game. In terms of gameplay, he plays completely different from Nero and Dante. He doesn't have a sword, he doesn't have a gun, he has a cane and a book. How does he fight? With the stuff? We can't wait to have people look into that. Interviewer. He can just read stories to his enemies until they fall asleep. Also, he got nothing to do with Virgil, right? Oh, the juicy stuff. Hideaki Itsuno responds, you make a great point. There's all kinds of stuff on the internet. Some people are saying it is Virgil. Maybe he's someone's son. You see all of these different theories. We don't want to spoil it. Interviewer. That's fair enough. In terms of character inspirations, another thing that keeps coming up is people comparing him to Adam Driver, which is of course the person that played in Star Wars. Matt Walker comments on this and he says, well, we've been making this game for a while. When we saw Adam Driver, we were like, oh man, we were making this before the Star Wars Episode 7. Hideaki Itsuno replies too, also input, we were sort of surprised when we started making the game. The new characters were the ones we started to work on. So, Nico, V, we came up with these designs early on. and we went to see Star Wars and saw Kylo Ren, and we were like, oh man, he looks just like him. If you ever come to Osaka, we'll show you the designs, how we've made them, with order. When that was improved, there's nothing, it has nothing to do with Kylo Ren, oh lord. So the interviewer says, it's okay, you're not going to court for it, it's fine, you're on the IE engine now, you're obviously a very stylish game producer, but there's a lot of photoreal faces, and when it comes to something like Resident Evil, you see something like Resident Evil 7 uses a lot of real life references. Was that something you were doing with Devil May Cry 5? And when it comes to characters like Dante that people have known and loved for years, how do you go about doing that photoreal look? Hideaki Internet responds, I'm happy that you feel it works from a photorealistic perspective. That's something we've worked really hard on at. The way we approached it, we took some of those characters and we did some location scouting in London. We thought, if we were going to make a city that was going to look a bit like London, what does it look like? We got a bunch of pictures, we all went and experienced it, we came back and we approached it thinking, let's design these characters so they wouldn't feel out of place in the realistic city like that. If you saw Dante, you saw Nero in that city. It wouldn't feel like they were filming some kind of low budget TV show. It didn't feel like some kind of toy. We approached the design from that kind of perspective. The colors, they shouldn't feel cheap. They don't need to feel realistic. Even the accessories and stuff, they need to feel like something you'd see in the real world. So we spent a lot of time on that. And the interviewer says, as a Londoner, I'm kind of curious. Where did you head to? Matt Walker responds, we went all over the place. Interviewer, you didn't come to Lewisham, did you? Matt Walker, probably not. We went to a lot of tourist places, different museums, to get a feel for the architecture. You'll see places where there are warehouses. We went to see what England warehouses look like. The interviewer replies with, this is fascinating. I live near some of these places. It's a shame you didn't come to Lewisham, though it would have been a very different game. Matt Walker responds, we had feedback from Capcom Europe on this one stage. It was kind of Picadically Kurosaki, sorry, I couldn't pronounce, and they were like, this is just the London that tourists would know, it's not real London. And then interviewer says, okay, sorry, on to more pedestrian questions. Dante's playable here at TGS. How has he evolved? How has he changed? Hideaki Itano responds with, Dante, when we approached evolutionizing things with characters, we felt that taking stuff away tends to upset people. So we try to approach it from not taking stuff away. Let's try and add stuff that is in the spirit of what everyone loves. With Dante, he has more weapons at this time than he did in Devil May Cry 4. The interesting challenge there for people who are really used to playing as Dante will be able to switch between 3 and 4 weapons on the fly. Switch between multiple range weapons with one button, and between multiple melee weapons with another button. So LT and RT for Xbox. For some players that might be a little overwhelming. The big evolution with Dante is giving people the choice. If they want, they can have loadouts for their equipment. Sorry. Do I want all slots filled and cycle between these weapons? Maybe I just want 2 weapons. Maybe I just want Cavalier and Rebellion. And the way switching between them is super easy. It's just one button press. Or maybe they want 4, but they might want them in a specific order. Or oh, and then he says, and there's another big thing about Dante, but that's a spoiler, so I don't want to talk about it yet. And then the interviewer says, you say you don't want to take anything away, but you've got the ammo system for Nero, Nero's Devil Breaker. You don't always have access to your full arsenal and have to scout for consumables. Is that a concern, or are you happy with how it works? Hideaki Internet responds, at the beginning, we had a lot of people in the team fighting over it. Should you be able to change your Devil Breaker whenever you want to? And then our answer became no. Because Nero and Dante need to play differently. They can't do the same thing. We wanted to introduce, for the first time in Devil May Cry, consumable weapons. With any luck, that introduces a new element of gameplay. When you're playing with Nero, you have to strategize. Okay, this is what I have in my roster, and this is the order you're in, which you can customize, but it's got to feel different to Dante. With Dante, you can change whatever you want on the fly, and that's fine. With Nero, you've got the blue rose and you've got the devil breakers. At one point in development, we thought that maybe the devil breakers should have different moves depending on which one you had, and you had to do command inputs. But we decided the devil breakers should be a simple thing, and the move itself depends on what situation you're in. So Overture, you shoot up the big electric hand. If the enemy's above you, you'll do it above you automatically. If they're on the ground, it'll be on the ground. It should be this way, this kind of thing, where it's less to think about, it's more about here are my two things. How best do I use those? The interviewer says, you made an analogy earlier on this year about it being like an RPG, how you have elixirs and potions. And obviously the last game you were director on was an RPG, Dragon's Dogma. What else did you learn from the game? What else did you think brought along it from it? Hideaki Itsuno said, there's nothing we really took directly from Dragon's Dogma. You can kind of think about it and go, well, in Dragon's Dogma there were different specific jobs that had very specific roles that would grow in different directions. You can think that Devil Breakers work in the same way. Each one is focused on a specific way to play. If you kind of force it, you could make that kind of connection. And actually, if you keep thinking about it, you have different jobs in your party. In Dragon's Dogma, and when you're coming up with your loadout of Devil Breakers, it's a similar kind of thing. I'm thinking about it more and more now. Maybe it kind of shows the way I design games. In Dragon's Dogma, you're going to want this kind of party. In this game, you're going to want a certain loadout. Interviewer, I wanted to talk more generally about your career. You've made some incredible games and some of my own personal favorites. Do you have any overarching philosophy that you bring to your games? Is there such a thing as an Itsuno touch? Hideaki Itsuno responds, I always approach it from this standpoint. As a player, what would I want? As a player, what do I think would be cool? And that goes for gameplay, it goes for story, it goes for all the moves and everything. It goes for everything. These days, I like to play single player stuff. So from a single player perspective, what's going to be the best and most fun? When I'm making Capcom versus SNK, I was thinking this is how I want Geese to play. This is what I want. This is what I think would be really cool. That's how I appreciate that, and that's where it starts with all my games. Interviewer says, what games are you playing at the moment? What are you taking inspiration from? Hideaki Itsuno, in terms of inspirations, especially with Devil May Cry 5, it's not really other games but other media that I'm looking at. In terms of what I play, I've got all kinds of retro games on my desk. I've actually got a CRT TV on my desk, so I can play all of these old games on it at work. Right now, over the last couple of years, the things I've been playing the most is this old baseball game called Famista. I play a lot of that game since it's a single player, and it's not that I don't want to play online multiplayer. I really want to. It's just a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to have to play with other people. You can't do what you want to do. So yeah, I play a ton of Famista. Interviewer says, I still play a lot of old games at home. I know I'm gonna kind of skip this because this is just I'm just gonna skip it. Okay, so the interviewer asks, are there any other games from your past that you like to return to? No. I guess that's really it. That's really all there is. So I hope this helped you. I hope this is kind of informing. I know that really wasn't all that revealing, but at least you got a little bit of information involving Dante, how he's playing, and a few other little hints about thank you guys. It's been ReZoura. Bye.